What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of A Thinking Man's podcast on the Muscle Media Network. Please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave us a comment, especially about the show, what you guys think is going to go down. Hit the bell so that you guys get notified when we post up a new video. We're coming at you guys with multiple videos a week. And as always, this episode is brought to you by Kodiak Bodybuilding Apparel. Train hard, die strong. Thanks again to Chris for supporting the show. And today we are going to be previewing and predicting probably the most competitive lineup of the year, I would say, outside of the Arnold and the Olympia, obviously. We're going to be talking Texas Pro. So my friend Tommy Styles is here with me. Tommy, what are you thinking?
Man, we got some fucking killers.
Yep.
We got 3 pro debuts that are pretty been quite a bit of buildup. So with those, we have what is it, 2022 Nationals winner or 21?
21 with Carlos.
Oh, that's it. 2021 Nationals winner Carlos Thomas making his debut. We have 2021 Nationals winner or USA winner Jordan Hutchinson making his debut. And then 2020 Nationals overall winner Jonathan Withers making his pro debut. So 3 overall national champions making their pro debuts in the same show. That's pretty cool.
I forgot Jonathan was all the way back in 2020 and we haven't seen him yet.
Yeah. So we also have Hunter Labrada, who just won Tampa, doing this show in his home state of Texas.
Yeah.
And probably the biggest one, Andrew Jacked.
Big dog.
Coming for a repeat win, looking to get his Olympia qualification. So,
yeah.
And then some other guys. We have Lewis Breed, who just took 3rd place at Tampa.
Yes.
Dense ball of muscle, came in pretty shredded
there. Yeah.
And then some notable international guys that I had to pull up their pictures and kind of look at them. But I would say that the names I've mentioned are probably the ones to look out for. And then some international guy will make me eat my words and get 3rd or something. But
Lewis kind of did that to us. I don't know that I think maybe we talked about him possibly being able to crack the top 5, and then he was very good in 3rd place. So he put us on notice, that's for sure. Let's talk those pro debuts though, because all 3 guys bring their own kind of spice to the show. They all have their strong points. And like you said, all 3 are overall national winners. So exciting stuff. And obviously with how much time they've all taken to make their debut, we should expect all 3 guys to be much improved than the last time that we saw them on stage. So let's talk through those. Jonathan obviously being the one that's taken like the longest off season. What do you know about him? Was that a matter of injuries? I remember him saying that he was set to make his debut, I think early last year for Indy, I think it might have been, and then I think there was an injury or something. So what do you think of him? What are you expecting from him?
I don't know the background on why it's taken so long.
Yeah.
I got a pic pulled up from looks like a little over a week ago. Alien quads. I mean, he's got quads that are on top of quads, just massive.
I would say him and probably Hassan have the 2 best pairs of quads in bodybuilding right now. If you're talking about
he has
size,
deeper separation in his too.
I was going to say in terms of the size and separation, of course, Rami's are probably the biggest, but they really lack that detail. They got kind of the weird divots going on the last couple of years. I don't think it's crazy to say that Jonathan might have the best legs in bodybuilding right now, or the best quads, I should say. Carlos too, no slouch, but I think in terms of the entire package, detail, the separation that he gets, and then how just enormous they are, Jonathan's might be the best quads in bodybuilding. But then, of course, that leaves the big question: is everything else going to match, or how close is everything else to matching?
I think obviously everything's come up since 2020. I still think in this lineup, I mean, you've got Hunter, Andrew Jacked, some of these other Lewis Breed, he's going to be a little shallow in the upper body. I don't believe he's terribly wide,
right?
Width wise. So I think he's pretty solid in some side shots just because of the density in the legs. I think the back will be tough for him to hang in some shots, but as far as a pro debut, I mean, if he cracks top 5, that's a win in my book.
Absolutely.
As far as this lineup. So
do you expect that from him? Do you expect a top 5?
I wouldn't put him in my top 5 based off of what I've like. It's hard with the international guys because we don't follow them as closely because I don't think they're on our feeds as much. But there's guaranteed to be one dark horse international guy in every show that comes in, and who is this guy? And then we start following him closer. I mean, Andrew Jack was that guy a couple of years ago. So
I think Lewis Breed too. At this point, he made a fool and a believer out of me in Tampa. I'm expecting Lewis to be in the top 5.
Yeah, no. So, but in saying that, like, I think there's no pressure on these guys when it's like that, because you're like the Cinderella in the NCAA tournament. Like, if you do show up and get 5th or better, it's like, damn,
you put us on notice.
So Jordan Hutchinson, 2021 USA's. I mean, I think he'll probably be at least 20 pounds heavier on stage than he was there. He was a heavyweight there, and I think he's going to end up somewhere in the low to mid 240s on stage here.
Yeah.
So we both know his coach, friend of the podcast, Chris Tuttle.
Yes.
Very good coach, usually nails all his peaks. So, that's an important aspect when we're talking previews and prediction, is like, who's their coach? Oh, it's a guy who doesn't miss. Perfect. So I think Jordan has nothing but upside coming into this. I think there's still, like anybody, he needs muscle density and more size at this level. So I don't have him in my top 5, but if I'm wrong, I'll be happy to eat crow because he's a solid dude. I talked to him I've talked to him for like over 5 years, just keeping up with each other. So nothing but improvements from his last stage showing, which is ultimately what we're all trying to do. So Carlos is who I think has the most upside as a pro and in this show. I mean, I've got Carlos in 3rd, and if he nails it, the best peak of his life, who I believe he's with Andrew Vu, he can slide in and mix it up with Hunter and Andrew Jack, just based off how Carlos is a short guy, but I saw him turn pro, and when he poses, everything just comes together and his quads flow off his waist and just everything is there. I would say the weak point for him is his back as far as thickness and density. But man, his front and side shots, good night.
Yeah. So regarding the 3 guys making their pro debut, I'm in agreement on most of what you said. I do think that Jonathan still probably has the most room to go out of the 3 guys that we talked about in terms of being complete top to bottom, front to back. Everything from the waist up, I think, has quite a bit of room to go from what we've seen. I mean, he could not be showing his back or not showing a lot of these shots and show up and look drastically improved. But I think it's a blessing and a curse to have such ridiculous legs, because it just makes everything else up top look underdeveloped. And then on top of that, he's not structurally big as well. Like he does kind of have that narrow clavicle look to him. So we'll see. We're making our best educated guess here, but I would venture to say that Jonathan probably will not be inside the top 5. If I had to guess, I would say he's going to be outside the top 5. I actually, on the flip side, though, I do think that Jordan has more of a complete look to him, and he's a big guy. He's tall. He's got like the big rib cage structure to him in his front shots and wide shoulders. I actually do think I expect him to nail it, like you said, knowing that Chris has had him for years now. They've already nailed it. Chris has posted photos of him all throughout the prep that I've seen, and he consistently looks better every time I see him. if I had to put a top five together, I'm expecting that Jordan could be fifth. With the structure, the height, I think he matches what the standard is going to be. If we're talking about Andrew Jacked and Hunter being in the top two, I think he more closely resembles that look. He's going to be peeled. He's going to be in shape. You know, his upper body, I think, still has a little bit more to go. But his legs are awesome. And I think structurally being a bigger guy, it helps the look of matching top to bottom. So I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say that he's going to be fifth. You know, if we're making critiques though as well, I think just seeing him, they're easy fixes, but it looks like in some of his photos he's dealing with a little bit of gyno, and then it also looks like he's dealing with a hernia. So those are a couple surgeries that are, you know, easy fixes, and then they're taken care of. But I even with that said, I do think he can be in the top five. I like his look. To me, that's a pleasing physique, and like you said, in the 240s, that's not a small man. And then Carlos, man, if he nails it, I don't know that if you know, I don't want to say anything off putting, but I don't know that he has like the skin texture, let's say, to look crazy peeled. But also, this is a good show for him in terms of who he's going against, because Hunter is never known for his conditioning, and Andrew Jacked is not known for having like peeled glutes. So, amongst those three, I'm expecting Carlos to be in the top three with Hunter and Andrew. And he's kind of a different look compared to those other guys. We know Andrew looks insane from the front. His side shots are a little awkward, and then his back shots still have quite a bit to go because he is so big structurally. I could see a scenario where Carlos is the most dense and the most complete guy in the top three and wins. He did that guest posing, I guess that was what, 3 weeks back or something. And he looked fucking insane, man. Like that looks like a thoroughbred top six Olympia guy for the foreseeable future. So, you know, I could totally see him being in the mix to win, but I think if I had to put together a top five, like I said, I'm going to say that Jordan could be fifth. I'm going to say that Carlos is going to be third, which is, you know, no slouch placing. And then I think for me, like if I'm just going to jump right ahead, I'm going to say that Andrew wins. I still, even though the picks leading up to the show had everybody really excited about Hunter being his best ever, and you know, oh, he really nailed his, you know, this time he's going to nail the conditioning. I still, if I'm being honest, I was not blown away by what Hunter actually brought to the stage. I think it just wasn't a very competitive show. And he's great, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it was a much of an improvement from like some of his better showings that we've seen before. I think Andrew's going to win. And if I'm being honest, I think part of that is that the people that run the Olympia that are going to do the judging, they're not fools. They're going to want one of their big dogs at the Olympia. They would be silly to not want Andrew there. Hunter already has his point.
I don't think this is the last show to qualify though.
Well, that's what I was going to lead to that. What else do we have left?
We've got Italy in 4 weeks.
Okay.
Don't quote me if that is. I'm assuming it's a qualifier because I know Regan's doing it. Nathan Diaz is doing it.
Really?
There's some big names doing Italy. I mean, we'll have to do a preview for that one because Nathan Diaz shot, and I fucking remember when everybody was like dogging him for being 299 and kind of sloppy, and you and I were talking like, dude, this dude's won 9 pro shows. Chill, give him 8
and
weeks.
This is the biggest he's ever looked. Like you could
here
dog
he is
him all you
posting
want.
shots. Yeah, like
bro, you could dog him all you want for how he looks in the heart of an offseason. Like from a conditioning standpoint, he brings crazy muscle. He's got crazy shape, and he's always peeled. You don't win 9 pro shows not being in shape. Like Nathan's fantastic, and
guys like that know their body, man. They know how
people have just forgot. People have, you know, you're out of the limelight for a little bit. He's had multiple bicep tears. I think he was dealing with some legal stuff at one point, so he couldn't compete. that's a bad motherfucker. Like that's a perennial top guy. And if he's bigger than he's ever been, he's going to be a real problem. And I think he would even be a problem for Andrew if he had to go over there. So I've been looking at it all year, knowing that the only show that Andrew was going to do up to this point, at least, was Texas. That's a little bit of a risk. He's kind of waiting until the last minute, and going into Hunter's hometown, so to speak. It is a little bit of a risk, but I think if it's close, they would be wise to give him the nod because Hunter's already got his ticket booked to the Olympia. So top 5 wise, if I'm going to jump ahead, I'm going to say that I'm going to say that Andrew wins. I'm going to say Hunter is second. I'm going to say Carlos is third. I'm going to say Lewis Breed is fourth. And then I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say that Jordan is fifth.
Yeah, I mean, can't argue with that. I have Andrew winning, and I don't actually have it close. I think Andrew wins. Like, without doubt. Like,
we've kind of forgotten how good he is.
People don't realize, like, he's new to body, like competing. Like, he barely knew how to pose last year, and he won the Texas. So he's had so much time to get better and mature. And people talked about, like, there is some conditioning that I guarantee he'll be harder than he was last year at the Texas Pro and the Olympia. He's going to be very, very good. And I think there's going to be a lot of surprises by how good he is and Hunter's his best ever, but I think Andrew's going to really separate himself as like, I'm going to be in the first call out at the Olympia is what I think.
Yes.
So,
totally agree.
I have him winning. I have Hunter too. It's very hard for me to put Carlos in third, even though I just hyped him up because Lewis Breed really impressed me in Tampa. And what do we know about, we know Lewis was pretty conditioned in Tampa and he should only be harder and tighter here.
Yeah.
Carlos, like you said, it might be something too, where he doesn't necessarily have to get peeled because it doesn't suit his physique and structure the best. But at the same time, if it's like, you got this freak show ball of muscle who's peeled next to you, like, does he get third and you get fourth? So I'm going to put Carlos in third, but I'm not going to be surprised if Lewis is third and Carlos is fourth.
Okay.
And when I looked at the lineup after you mentioned Jordan getting top 5, like, because I don't have an insider on a lot of these guys, like, I know Roy Evans did Tampa.
Yeah.
Also a bit softer, but he should be harder here.
Yeah.
Then there's a gentleman from, I'm guessing China, if I'm wrong.
Sihun Park.
Yeah.
He looks good, dude. I don't know. The only thing is, the only photos I saw of him, he was by himself. And just by his dimensions, like, especially I saw a front double of him.
He looks shallow.
I could be wrong, but he looks kind of shallow and he looks like he could be a smaller guy, like almost like he grew out of the 212.
Yeah, I'm with you. And that'll show.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but
that was my only critique. I was like, I don't actually know how much muscle this guy has because by himself, he's insane. He's got tight little waist, his quads flare off, but he could stand next to these guys and there's a reason he might be, in the second call up.
Yeah.
So, man, I'm gonna join you. I'm gonna give Jordan fifth, but if Sihun is bigger than we think, I wouldn't be surprised if he's nailed because this is third show of the year. So I'm on this train where I just think if guys keep competing more, they get better. Mainly because I just did that.
You just did it yourself. Yeah.
I learned a lot about like being in a like you're just prepping. You almost forget you're prepping because you just keep doing shows.
Yeah.
That you're catching little rebounds and you're eating more food and So and looking at the list, I don't know enough about anybody else to like really, give them any shout outs or anything. We got Jameel Hamilton from the Bahamas, Derek O'Lara from China.
I took a look at Derek actually. I tried to take a look at some of the guys so we could talk about some of the unknown names. And he looks good. He's definitely got a very developed upper body, and it looks like his legs are just going to be the reason he's not in that first call out. And it's not even a development thing. It more so just looks like a genetic insertion thing. Like his quads are very up and down from the front, and it doesn't sweep off the way that it should.
Marte Rulis is from Arizona. I believe he trains down in Mesa,
Okay.
which is near me. So he looks like a guy who was in the 212 who's might be moving up to open. So
Yeah.
looks like he's shorter, got kind of a boxier torso. I think he'll be conditioned. I think he's going to struggle in the open lineup, being a shorter guy I can't expect him to be too far above that 212 cutoff.
And in this lineup too, like we just listed off some guys that structurally have incredible shape. Like think about some of the guys in this lineup. Andrew, Hunter, even Jordan has excellent shape, like I talked about. Like there are some of these bigger structural guys with great shape that if you're on the shorter side or you're a little bit boxy in the midsection, you're going to get exposed standing next to some of these guys.
And I think he competed earlier this year. And I think he did Chicago and as a 212 and maybe either struggled to look his best at making weight.
Making the weight.
So maybe he's doing Texas and he's listed in the open. So I don't know, but
yeah,
I just give him a shout out because he's from Arizona. But you want to talk about the 212?
Yeah.
There's some names there too.
Oh, it's going to be a good one. First and foremost, though, I think Keon is poised to bring his best. I think him getting under the tutelage of Patrick Tour has been the best thing for his career up to this point. I don't remember seeing him being in condition like this before, and that's really been the only missing piece for him. I mean, he's got all the muscle in the world. He's got possibly the most beautiful shape in bodybuilding. Round muscle, crazy insertions, top to bottom, front to back, everything is complete. The arms, the quads, the tiny waist, his back is excellent. And then starting 4 or 5 weeks out, he was posting videos with striated glutes, which I don't really even remember seeing him with them at any other point. So, man, seeing this version of Keon, it just, as a fan of bodybuilding, it gets me excited because I expect him to run through this show, and then we could be talking about him being in the final 2 with Sean for the 212 Olympia.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely improving. I still think he has to add some more muscular density to certain body parts you realize how dense Sean is when he stands next to people because he just makes you look shallow.
Well, posing too, like he's so it's when he hits shots, everything is striated. I think that too, like with Keon, it almost again, like I just sang his praises. He's in the best condition of his life, but I think that's where age and time under the bar or time training really comes through. Like Sean has been doing this for, it feels like 20 years. And Keon is still a young dude, man. Young, like I don't even think he's 30 yet.
No, yeah, he's got time on his side as far as climbing the ladder.
Read me some of these other names. Yes, go
ahead. Charles Curtis, also from Arizona. He's been around a bit. I don't remember seeing him anytime recently, but he's very good structurally in the 212. A lot of detail, a lot of separation. I can see him in the top 5 just based off of, it looks like he's in shape, looks like he's conditioned, looks like he's got his prep on point. So
you'll be in the mix then. You put yourself in contention when you nail it.
Yeah. And then there's some name. I mean, Noel Adame, I believe he's won a pro show.
He's very good.
He bombed at whatever show he did earlier this year. I actually had him it was whatever we previewed because I had him in the top 5 and he got like 11th or he didn't play. I don't remember, but he's good. He's dense.
Yeah.
Let's see. Francisco Barrios from Brazil. I've seen him on Instagram. He's got some freaky body parts. It's hard to judge people on Instagram who post a lot because you don't actually know what they look like without Instagram and certain effects.
Or even next to other guys.
Yeah. It's
which though I do think though with the 212, all of those guys fit into a little bit more of a mold than the open guys.
Mm-hmm. Was this name was Jason Joseph at the New York Pro?
Man, I don't even remember.
I'm gonna look it up real quick. I feel like he was in the top 5 there, or he was just outside of it. Of course, he's not on fucking Instagram. Well, he's from New Jersey. I feel like he did the New York Pro, or he did something earlier this year. But he's in it. So, and then outside of that, there's just a lot of names that are foreign to me, not because they're from other countries, just because like I just there's so many bodybuilders to keep up with that it gets hard.
Yeah. What was the name?
Jason Joseph.
Jason Joseph. He was 6th in New York.
Okay, so taller guy in the 212, right?
Oh, I remember seeing this guy. Yeah, he's very good.
So he's in it, and I feel like he's only probably gotten better, and I expect him to crack the top 5 because I do remember the live stream, that name. I just couldn't remember where he placed.
Yeah. He's got all the show me muscles, chest, arms, quads are all very good. He in New York, he just needed to be harder. And I think just overall his back needs to be better. Like you said, a little bit of a taller look for the 212, but he does pack some muscle. So if he's, he's had a couple months, if he was able to kind of regroup and then really nail the rest of the prep in terms of conditioning, this is not a lineup in terms of the 212, at least not a lineup full of like top Olympia contenders. So, I think maybe besides Keon, it's going to be kind of a toss up. I think Noel could be awesome too. I didn't see the rest of the list, but I would expect Keon and Noel to be the top 2. And then from there, if you nail it, you're going to be in contention. It's going to be a toss up.
Right. There is. So yeah, Keon and Noel are probably in my top 2. That Fran Barrios from Brazil, I think he works with Patrick Tour as well, or he has. He's pretty solid. There's a guy from Korea.
Yeah.
Jay.
There's a bunch of Korean athletes doing this.
What's cool about this show is like, at least in the 212, there's 6 guys from Texas. I know Hunter's from Texas. This show gets a lot of hometown.
Yeah.
Bodybuilding is very, very good in Texas.
Oh yeah.
So Justin Jacoby making his pro debut in the 212.
Okay.
I believe he turned pro in 2021 as a middleweight.
Yeah.
At nationals. So there's a lot of names that are.
I haven't seen pics of him. How did he? How's he looking? Has he added some size?
Yeah, it looks like he's a bit bigger. Matt said he's up 10 pounds from his last showing. So
okay, all right,
made improvements. I think
some room to go though. Then still,
with the 212 being as muscular dense as it is as a vision, I think to crack top 5s and to be a contender to win pro shows, you gotta pack some muscle. So or be Sean Clarita, but
right. Yeah, if I could be mistaken, but I feel like if I remembered his physique, I almost feel like he might even look a little tall for 212, or maybe it's just a lack of density at this point. So, if, like you said, he was a middleweight to win his pro card. If he's up 10 pounds and he's in the 180s, he's still probably he's probably given up 30 pounds to a lot of these guys. So, as a pro debut, I think, you come in and now your conditioning, you can, leave a mark and kind of set a standard for yourself as a pro, and then just get back to work and look to put on more size. Cause like you said, man, the 212, it is almost like an entirely different sport, because it's just, these guys are just balls of muscle. Like they are just, man, most of these guys are not coming in much taller than 5'5". So, you're packing 200 plus pounds on a frame that height. There's no more room for muscle.
dude, 5'5" is a tall 212 guy. Like
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. Like Sean is
5'3", 5.
reigning and multiple time 212 Olympia champ, and he's only, man, if you told me he was only 5'1", like I've met Sean and been around Sean a lot in person, I would be shocked to hear he's 5'3".
Yeah. So, Charles Curtis, I have him in the top 5. It's hard to pick top 5, but I
I was
think
gonna say I don't even know if I could put together a top 5.
unanimously, it sounds like we both think Keon should take it.
He
I think,
should.
I mean, if he comes in off, I think if Noel's on, he can.
Yeah.
He has one pro show, so he can
Yeah.
be there.
Yeah.
But it just depends on who shows up on the day that the judging matters. Like Instagram's great. We build our, everybody builds up to it, but you can look like the clear cut winner and end up 5th. So,
Yeah.
Classic, I don't follow. It looks pretty deep, but I don't follow enough of it to know. All I know is I'll give a shout out to Robert Timms. He's won this show 2 years ago. He's a Muscle Factory guy.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's in Arizona.
How's he look in person? Is he enormous?
He's huge. Yeah, he's fucking you. Robert's massive, and he walks around at 260.
Man, I feel like he's a guy that, I mean, when you're awesome at Classic and we're talking about winning pro shows and going to the Olympian Classic, you don't want to leave that. That's a good thing to continue, but he almost strikes me as a guy that has an open frame.
Up top, yes, his legs are his Achilles, and it's just because his top is so good.
Yeah.
He could use a bit more. He would need more density in the lower half, adductors, but he's got the perfect classic structure.
He's got wild arms.
When he poses too, like his muscles contract like Legos, like it snaps into place. It's epic. So I think Logan Franklin's also doing it. I would say it's probably between them.
Oh, I feel like is that a rematch? Did they not go
at
it?
Is.
Yeah.
In 2021, they went at it, and Robert won. I believe he took 10th in that year's Olympia. He did not compete last year.
Right. And neither did Logan.
Yeah, then he might have pulled out.
Logan was sick or something.
Yeah, he pulled out of a show the peak week. I remember hearing about it.
Yeah.
But both are great. Both look. I mean, Robert kind of lays low. He dips off Instagram when he's getting ready. I haven't even seen him in a while, so I actually didn't know he was doing the show till this week. He moves in. He definitely moves in the shadows.
I respect it. I mean,
he's got density, man. Like
and he's just got great.
Like watch him train too is just like he doesn't slow down.
Does he train like an animal?
Fast, man. He doesn't stop.
Okay.
And he's strong.
He's one of those guys too that like when he hits the shots too, he almost has like this electric conditioning look to him where it looks like his whole body lights up in terms of the conditioning, like the oil, the color, the lights, just right. Very polished, very professional and polished look on stage. And Logan too, man. Logan is, if we're talking like classic physique and what the standard is for classic, I'm almost surprised Logan doesn't get more attention. I know he's been out of the limelight a little bit, not competing in a little bit, but he's not far off of the standard that Chris has set in terms of height and structure and how the physique looks. Obviously he's not there. I'm sure there's, Chris Bumstead fans that are going to listen to this. I'm not saying he's there just yet, but he brings a similar package of structure, conditioning. He's got good size for classics. So that'll be interesting. That should be a pretty good top 2. And there's almost like a little budding rivalry there with a rematch from the 21 Texas.
Yeah. And there's some other names who've, Bob Waterhouse was third in debut, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a lot of guys in this lineup who have won pro shows.
Okay.
That I can tell you based off of my 30-second research.
This guy Lucas too. He looks good.
Yeah. Tony Dong. He's won. I think he won 2 shows last year.
Yeah.
there's a guy who just took second last. Like there's so many classic shows though too. It's like
Yeah.
who was there when he won? But
Yeah.
all due respect, I mean, anybody who wins a show at the pro level, like you've done something that I haven't done and most people will never do. So
We'll never do. Yeah.
I
I'm on
think
Bodybuilders Without Borders right now. And another guy that was give him a little bit of a shout out, Dino Estrada. When I was living in Texas, he trained in the Muscle Factory, and I've seen him in person. And I don't think that he's going to have like the height and the structure. If we're talking like Robert and Logan as the standard for the top two, he doesn't have that type of body. But that kid's damn good, man. He from what I know, he's a young kid. So shout out to him. I think he's poised to look pretty damn good too. Wild shape on that kid.
Yeah, overall, this show, I mean, the lighting and the production and the setup,
Oh, it's the
and
best.
this is probably the top show.
I would agree.
That's become the new, like what the New York Pro was 10 years ago for those of us who remember what the New York Pro was.
Or even like it almost, it's not exactly the same, but in terms of it just being the best lit show. And when I say lit, I mean like the lighting. The show with the best lighting. It's almost like the old Iron Man shows where all the competitors want to do that show because of the lighting.
Which has me stoked for Nationals, because Nationals is in this same venue in December. So, and the same production, Freddie Nadeau took over the production. So
beautiful.
I'm excited to be there, and then excited to be at Nationals next year too.
Yeah. Wow, so, I had completely forgotten that they moved it to Texas, and I didn't realize that it changed hands.
Bro, I can't tell you how much I mean, we'll be in Orlando for the Olympia, but I hate Orlando.
Yeah.
If I say that 5 more podcasts before the Olympia, I think it'll sink in that everyone can know I don't like Orlando, but whatever. But
no, that's cool though for you also, being that you're going to compete next at Nationals. That's a more centrally located spot for you. That's a pretty quick little trip.
Yeah, 2-hour flight right into DFW, and Irving, Texas is, pretty close to there, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know the specs of it. I had heard last year that it was moving to Texas and it was a 3-year contract or deal.
Oh, right now. Okay. Interesting.
We'll see if I don't know if the Olympia is like in Orlando to stay, if they're going to bump around every year. I don't know.
Man, I almost wish they would bump it around every year, like the Super Bowl.
Kind of fun, yeah.
Like there were points I remember. Ronnie, like I'm not going to say I remember Ronnie winning like I was there, but I know that the Olympia to start his reign in '98 was at MSG. So I'm up here in Jersey. I wouldn't mind. And man, what a fucking venue that would be to get bodybuilding into.
Oh yeah, dude. Like, I mean, obviously, there's so much to take into consideration. Obviously, with time zones and traveling and airports, and you got international competitors to think about. So
yeah. Also, where are you making your money for the promoters? Like, do I want as a promoter, do I want to come to New York and get fucking bombarded with tax, like absolutely mauled paying tax? Or should I go to Florida? Should I go to Texas where there's no state income tax? Yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do.
All I know is the Olympia headquarters is in Chandler, Arizona.
Is it?
And Jake Wood, who is the owner of the IFBB, lives in Arizona. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a move to have the Olympia in Arizona or something in Arizona at some point, because
that'd be nice for you. Is there
state strength is out here? What's that?
Is there a state income tax in Arizona?
I believe so. Yeah.
All right. Hopefully the IRS isn't listening, because you should know that.
There is. It's not like Texas or wherever else.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it'd be cool if we moved it around and just like a roulette.
Yeah, absolutely. Because then too, like as fans of the sport, same thing for the competitors and their families and whatever else. It gives you the chance to travel the country and see different spots. I think I think if you talk to the competitors, they probably enjoy that too. I mean, that it makes it a little bit of a toss up then. Like, you know, you risk having some years, like, you know, say it's in New York or something and you hate the venue. That sucks. Um, you know, I
In the
remember.
90s, it moved every year. I don't remember when
Oh, I
it moved
know.
to Vegas and became a staple there, but
Yeah. It must have been in either in the it must have been in like in the early 2000s because I remember that was the whole reason Jay moved out to Vegas because they stationed it permanently in Vegas for a while. But I remember, I guess it was the COVID year they did the Olympia down in Florida, and a lot of the talks after the show immediately were like, "Hey, we're going to try and get it back here." Like there was a lot of positive reviews about having the show there compared to Vegas. And again, like from a business standpoint, not paying income tax to the state of Florida is a big deal for these guys. So I wouldn't be surprised if it stays there, or maybe, you know, maybe we see these Texas shows like just continue to be the class in terms of the lighting and the production, and then they make a move there. I don't know that anybody would complain about going to Texas for the Olympia.
I mean,
You know,
not if production's as good as it's been and it's centrally
lighting's great,
located and we have big enough
centrally
airports to bring
located.
everybody in. I mean, like, even international guys like going to Texas. So,
Yeah, yeah, Texas is
um,
great, man. But all right, I think that's a good little preview of the Texas Pro. So if you guys are following along, listening to the show, leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you're looking forward to seeing or who you're rooting for. You know, we're fans of the sport just like you guys. That's why we started this in the first place. So looking forward to it. So I'm kind of more than anything, I'm kind of hoping that Andrew Jack just shows up and blows the doors off of everybody. Like,
drops the bomb. I hope so
yeah,
too. Honestly,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I
Just
like,
as a fan, he's just a freak show, dude. And like we were so blown away by him last year, and like you said, he's only going to get better. Like I wouldn't be surprised if his back as much as improved and his posing as much improved, and he just like puts everybody on notice. Like I'm the big motherfucker in charge, and I'm here to stay. Like I think that's awesome.
pretty sure this is only like his fourth show ever. Like, he's
Worst show
not,
ever. Yeah.
dude's not like been doing it 20 years.
Yeah, he's well. What did he do? He did Texas. He won
Well, to
Texas.
turn pro, he did his our amateur show
Yeah,
overseas,
yeah.
then did Texas, then did the Olympia, right?
He
Yeah.
did Texas, the Olympia, and then he did Arnold UK and won.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it must have been like close, like Arnold UK and Texas.
They were like 2 weeks apart. I remember.
And then the Olympia, and then he did the US, like the real Arnold. I shouldn't say the real Arnold, but the OG Ohio Arnold
The Arnold.
in
Yeah. Yeah.
March. Yeah, yeah.
So he's like 5 or 6 shows now, but still, the quality of the shows he's done.
That's less shows than I've done, and I'm not exactly knocking on the door.
Yeah. Yeah. Same.
So,
So
all right,
yeah,
guys. Well,
I think he drops it.
yeah, yeah. So, all right, guys. Thanks for following along as always. Subscribe to the channel, send it to a friend. And until next time, guys, we're out.